What if I told you that the single most powerful food for building strength and muscle after the age of 60 isn't steak, chicken, or protein powder, but a surprisingly cheap food that almost every grocery store in America carries, and you probably walk past it every week without giving it much thought? What if I told you that this one food could actually help your body build lean muscle more efficiently than meat, protect your bones, keep your joints strong, fuel your energy, and even support your heart and brain all at the same time? I know it sounds almost unbelievable, but stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the world's top nutrition researchers are starting to call this the most underrated superfood for seniors, and how it can help you look, feel, and perform years younger, no matter your age right now. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and for over 20 years I've dedicated my career to helping Americans over 60 reclaim their strength, independence, and vitality. I've worked with thousands of seniors across this country, from small towns in the Midwest to big cities on the East Coast, and I've seen firsthand how the right food choices can literally transform the aging body. And what I'm about to share with you today might go against everything you thought you knew about muscle, protein, and aging. Because for decades, we've been told that if you want to build strength, you need to pile your plate with meat. Steak, chicken, pork, burgers. This is what most people think of when they hear the word protein. And yes, meat does provide protein. But here's the shocking truth: when you're over 60, meat is actually one of the least efficient ways for your body to build new muscle. See, the way your body processes protein changes dramatically as you get older. In your younger years, almost any kind of protein you eat is quickly turned into the building blocks of muscle. But after the age of 50, your muscles become resistant to growth. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It means that your body needs not just more protein, but the right kind of protein, one that's easy to digest, quickly absorbed, and rich in the exact amino acids your muscles need to grow stronger. Unfortunately, meat doesn't check those boxes. It takes a long time to digest, it's harder on your kidneys, and much of the amino acids get tied up in the slow breakdown process instead of going straight to your muscles. But here's where the cheap superfood I'm about to reveal comes in. This food is not only incredibly affordable, often cheaper than meat by the pound, it's also one of the fastest digesting, most muscle-friendly protein sources on the planet. It contains all 9 essential amino acids, plus special compounds that meat doesn't have, which actually stimulate your muscles to grow, even in the face of age-related anabolic resistance. On top of that, it's naturally low in fat, low in calories, rich in vitamins and minerals, and easy on your digestion. And let me tell you something, my friend. When my clients over 60 start replacing some of their daily meat intake with this food, the results are nothing short of amazing. They regain strength in their arms and legs. They notice their balance improving. They have more energy during the day and sleep better at night. And most importantly, they feel younger, more confident, and more capable in their own bodies. Now, I'm going to reveal exactly what this food is in just a moment, but before I do, I want to paint a picture of what's possible. I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now. You're carrying the groceries into the house without struggling. You're getting down on the floor to play with your grandkids and standing back up with ease. You're walking into church or a family gathering, and your friends can't believe how strong and vibrant you look. That's the kind of transformation we're talking about here. And it doesn't require a fancy gym membership, expensive supplements, or complicated meal plans. It simply requires knowing which foods truly support your muscles after 60 and making them a regular part of your life. So let's cut to the chase. The food I'm talking about is none other than humble, affordable American-grown beans. Yes, beans, black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, lentils, chickpeas, you name it. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, beans. Really? That can't be better than meat. Let me explain why this is one of the best kept secrets in senior nutrition. Because beans aren't just protein for vegetarians. They are, pound for pound, one of the most efficient muscle-building foods you can eat after 60. Here's why. First, beans are packed with plant protein that your body can actually use. 1 cup of cooked beans contains about 15 grams of protein, which is already impressive. But more importantly, that protein is paired with something meat doesn't have: fiber. And fiber changes everything. See, when you eat meat, it takes hours for your digestive system to break it down. That means the amino acids, those building blocks your muscles need, trickle into your bloodstream very slowly, and some of them don't even make it through the process intact. But when you eat beans, the protein is delivered in a way that's much gentler on your digestive system, while the fiber feeds your gut bacteria, which in turn boosts nutrient absorption. That means more of the protein you eat actually makes it to your muscles, instead of being wasted. Second, beans contain a unique amino acid profile that works in harmony with your body's needs as you age. They're especially high in leucine, which is one of the most critical amino acids for muscle repair and growth. In fact, studies show that seniors who increase leucine intake from beans and legumes see significant improvements in lean muscle mass compared to those relying on meat alone. And get this, when you combine beans with whole grains like rice or oats, you create a complete protein source that rivals or even surpasses the amino acid profile of beef. That's right, beans plus grains can actually build more muscle than meat for a fraction of the cost and with none of the downsides. Third, beans are loaded with micronutrients that support muscle function in ways meat simply can't. For example, they're rich in magnesium, which is essential for muscle contractions, energy production, and recovery after exercise. They're high in potassium, which helps prevent cramps and keeps your heart strong. They contain iron for oxygen transport, zinc for hormone balance, and folate for cellular repair. And unlike meat, which provides protein but little else, beans deliver this entire symphony of nutrients that work together to keep your muscles not just bigger, but stronger and more functional. But here's one of my favorite parts: beans actually improve insulin sensitivity. And that's a game changer because insulin is one of the body's most powerful muscle-building hormones. After 60, many Americans struggle with insulin resistance, which not only leads to diabetes but also makes it harder for your muscles to absorb protein and grow. Beans help reverse that process. Their unique combination of protein, fiber, and resistant starch keeps blood sugar stable, lowers insulin resistance, and primes your muscles to soak up amino acids like a sponge. In plain English, that means the protein you eat from beans is more likely to be used for muscle growth instead of being stored as fat. Now let's talk affordability. Meat prices in America have skyrocketed in recent years. A single pound of beef or chicken can cost anywhere from $6 to $10 or more, depending on where you live. But beans, you can get an entire pound of dried beans for just a couple of bucks. And that pound of beans, once cooked, provides the protein equivalent of several pounds of meat. This isn't just a health hack. It's a budget-friendly solution that every American family can benefit from, especially seniors living on fixed incomes. I remember one client of mine, Carol from Texas, who was living on a tight Social Security budget. She told me she felt like she couldn't afford to eat healthy. But when I introduced her to beans as a staple, everything changed. She started cooking big pots of beans on Sunday, seasoning them with herbs, onions, and garlic, and eating them throughout the week. Not only did she save hundreds of dollars a month on groceries, but within 3 months, she noticed her arms and legs felt firmer, her energy shot up, and she was finally able to go on long walks again without feeling winded. Carol didn't just save money. She gained back her strength, confidence, and independence. And it was all because she made beans her go-to protein instead of relying on expensive cuts of meat. And here's something else that meat can't do. Beans support not just your muscles, but your longevity. They're the cornerstone of every single Blue Zone diet on Earth. Now, if you're not familiar with the Blue Zones, these are the 5 regions of the world where people consistently live to be 100 or older in good health. And do you know what all 5 of these longevity hotspots have in common? Beans. In Okinawa, they eat soybeans. In Sardinia, they eat fava beans. In Costa Rica, they eat black beans. In Greece, they eat lentils and chickpeas. And in Loma Linda, California, the only blue zone in America, they eat a variety of beans every single day. This isn't a coincidence. Beans are literally the food of longevity. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Beans are fine, but they can be boring. Or maybe you've had bad memories of bland baked beans from a can. Let me assure you, beans don't have to be boring. In fact, once you learn how to prepare them the right way, they can be some of the most flavorful, satisfying foods you'll ever eat. And let's be honest, if food doesn't taste good, you're not going to stick with it, no matter how healthy it is. That's why I want to show you how beans can not only replace meat, but become the most delicious part of your meals. In American kitchens, beans have a long tradition. Think about chili simmering on the stove in Texas, Boston baked beans slow, cooked with molasses, or hearty navy bean soup served in diners across the Midwest. These aren't just side dishes. They've been staples of working, class American families for generations. Our grandparents knew something we've forgotten. Beans can stretch a meal, feed a family, and keep you strong at a fraction of the cost of meat. When we return to these roots, we don't just save money, we reclaim part of our American heritage of resilience and resourcefulness. But here's the modern twist. Today, science confirms what our grandparents already knew intuitively. Beans don't just fill your belly, they build your body from the inside out. One of the reasons beans are so powerful for seniors is their effect on inflammation. After 60, inflammation becomes a major enemy. It stiffens your joints, slows down recovery, damages your arteries, and accelerates aging in every organ system. Meat, especially red and processed meat, tends to increase inflammation because of compounds like heme iron and advanced glycation end, products that form during cooking. Beans, on the other hand, are naturally anti-inflammatory. Their high antioxidant content, polyphenols, and fiber actively fight inflammation, lowering markers like C, reactive protein in the blood. What that means for you is less stiffness, fewer aches, and a body that feels younger and more energetic. And here's another thing you won't hear from the meat industry. Beans protect your kidneys. Kidney health is critical after 60 because as we age, our kidney function naturally declines. Meat proteins, especially in high amounts, can put significant strain on the kidneys. That's why so many seniors on high meat diets end up with kidney issues. Beans, in contrast, are much gentler on your system. They provide high-quality protein without overloading your kidneys with waste products like uric acid. That's why kidney specialists often recommend patients shift from animal to plant proteins, because it reduces the progression of kidney disease. Now, let's talk about bones. Many Americans believe you need meat and dairy for strong bones. But the truth is, beans are one of the best foods for bone health. Why? Because they're rich in magnesium, calcium, and boron, minerals directly linked to bone density. Plus, the vitamin K in certain beans helps shuttle calcium into your bones rather than letting it build up in your arteries. This means stronger bones and fewer fractures, along with a lower risk of osteoporosis, which is one of the biggest threats to independence for older Americans. And what about your heart? We know heart disease is still the #1 killer in America. Every 36 seconds, someone in this country dies from cardiovascular disease. Meat-heavy diets are a big part of the problem, contributing to high cholesterol, clogged arteries, and hypertension. But beans? Beans lower cholesterol. They're one of the only foods proven to actually remove LDL cholesterol from your body. In study after study, seniors who ate beans 4 or more times a week had dramatically lower risk of heart attack and stroke compared to those who rarely ate them. Just 1 cup of beans a day can lower cholesterol by up to 20% in a matter of weeks. That's not just theory, that's life-saving reality. Now, let me give you a picture of what's happening inside your body when you eat beans. The protein is broken down into amino acids, which are quickly absorbed and delivered to your muscles. The fiber slows down digestion just enough to keep your blood sugar steady, while your gut bacteria go to work fermenting that fiber into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. These compounds travel throughout your body, reducing inflammation, improving brain function, and even lowering your risk of colon cancer. Meanwhile, the resistant starch in beans feeds your microbiome, helping beneficial bacteria thrive. This not only strengthens your immune system, but also boosts serotonin production, improving your mood and mental clarity. In other words, beans don't just build muscle. They build resilience in your entire body. And let's not forget about weight control. One of the biggest struggles for seniors is maintaining a healthy weight. Some people gain weight easily because their metabolism slows down, while others lose too much weight because they can't maintain muscle mass. Beans solve both problems. If you're overweight, the fiber and protein in beans keep you full and satisfied, making it easier to lose fat without feeling deprived. If you're underweight or struggling to hold on to muscle, the easily absorbed protein in beans helps you rebuild lean tissue. It's a win-win situation. I'll never forget working with John, a retired firefighter from Ohio. At 67, he had lost a lot of muscle mass and felt weaker than he ever had. He told me, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore. I used to be strong, but now I can barely carry a bag of mulch into the backyard. John was eating steak and eggs almost every day, thinking it would help him rebuild strength, but it wasn't working. His cholesterol was high, his blood sugar was creeping up, and his doctor was warning him about prediabetes. When I introduced him to beans as his primary protein, everything changed. He started eating lentil soup, black bean tacos, and chickpea salads. Within 6 months, his cholesterol dropped by 40 points, his energy skyrocketed, and most importantly, he regained real functional strength. He was back to doing yard work, lifting, and even helping his son with home projects. He told me, "I feel like I got 20 years back." And he didn't need expensive protein powders or fad diets. All it took was beans. Another thing I love about beans is their versatility. Unlike meat, which requires refrigeration, cooking, and often expensive preparation, beans are shelf-stable, portable, and incredibly forgiving. You can buy them dried or canned. You can cook them in a pressure cooker, a slow cooker, or just on the stove. You can season them 100 different ways, with American flavors, Mexican spices, Italian herbs, or just a little salt and pepper. They fit into whatever cuisine you enjoy. And because they absorb flavor so well, they can be made to taste rich, hearty, and satisfying, even for lifelong meat eaters. But let's take this a step further. Think about what happens when you replace just half of your weekly meat intake with beans. You'll be cutting down on saturated fat, lowering cholesterol, reducing inflammation, protecting your kidneys, stabilizing blood sugar, and improving digestion, all while saving money and building muscle more efficiently. That's not a small change. That's a life-changing upgrade. And I know some of you may be concerned about gas or bloating from beans. That's a common worry. But here's the good news: it's easy to fix. If you soak dried beans overnight and rinse them before cooking, most of the compounds that cause gas are removed. Canned beans are often soaked and rinsed already, but it's still a good idea to drain and rinse them before eating. And the truth is, the more often you eat beans, the more your body adapts. Within a few weeks, most people find that gas and bloating disappear completely, leaving only the benefits behind. So why don't more Americans over 60 eat beans? Honestly, it comes down to habit and marketing. The meat industry has spent billions convincing us that steak equals strength, that a real American meal means a slab of meat at the center of the plate. But the truth is, strength doesn't come from what's on the grill. It comes from what your body can actually use to build muscle. And beans outperform meat in that department, especially as we age. The marketing has fooled us, but science doesn't lie. I want you to think about the future. 10 years from now, where do you want to be? Do you want to be strong, independent, living in your own home, traveling, enjoying your family, and doing the things you love? Or do you want to be frail, dependent, struggling with chronic diseases, and stuck in the healthcare system? The choices you make today determine which path you'll be on. And one of the simplest, most effective choices you can make is to add beans to your diet every single day. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up meat completely. If you love a good steak on the weekend, enjoy it. But don't let meat be the foundation of your diet, because it's not serving you the way you think it is. Let beans take center stage. Use them as the core of your meals, and you'll notice the difference in your strength, your energy, and your overall health. And let me tell you something powerful: every time you open a can of beans, every time you stir a pot of lentils or chickpeas, you're not just cooking food. You're building muscle. You're protecting your heart. You're investing in your future self. That simple, humble food is more powerful than the most expensive supplements, more effective than any fad diet, and more consistent than the promises of the meat industry. It's real food for real strength, for real Americans who want to live strong and proud well past 60. Let's dig deeper into what makes beans such a powerhouse for muscle and longevity. Because once you really understand the science behind them, you'll see why I call them the #1 strength food for Americans over 60. One of the key reasons beans outperform meat is something called the protein package. You see, when you eat food, you don't just eat isolated protein. You eat everything that comes with it. With meat, yes, you're getting protein, but you're also getting a package of saturated fat, cholesterol, and compounds created when meat is cooked at high heat, like heterocyclic amines. These compounds don't build health. They chip away at it. With beans, you get a completely different package. Alongside the protein, you get fiber, antioxidants, minerals, and phytonutrients that all work together to keep your body thriving. It's like comparing a cheap tool kit with just a hammer to a full American-made toolbox stocked with every tool you could ever need. Meat gives you one thing. Beans give you everything, and one of the tools beans give you is endurance. As we get older, it's not just about building muscle. It's about maintaining the energy and stamina to actually use those muscles in daily life. Have you ever noticed how quickly you get tired after a heavy meat meal? You feel sluggish, weighed down, maybe even ready for a nap. That's because your body is working overtime to digest that dense protein and fat. Beans, on the other hand, provide a steady release of energy. Their combination of protein, complex carbs, and fiber fuels your body without spiking your blood sugar. That means no crashes, no drowsy afternoons, just sustainable energy you can use to get things done, whether that's working in the garden, going for a walk, or playing with your grandkids. And here's another layer of brain health. After 60, protecting your memory and cognitive function is just as important as keeping your muscles strong. And guess what? Beans support your brain too. They're rich in folate, which is essential for neurotransmitter production. They contain choline, which your brain uses to make acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter of learning and memory. They also stabilize blood sugar, which protects your brain cells from the damage caused by glucose spikes. Studies show that seniors who eat beans regularly perform better on memory and cognitive tests than those who rarely eat them. So when you sit down to a bowl of lentil soup, you're not just feeding your body, you're feeding your brain, protecting yourself against age-related decline, and keeping your mind sharp. Now, I know some people wonder, can beans really build muscle if they're plant-based? The answer is absolutely yes. Muscle growth comes down to three things: protein quality, amino acid delivery, and the body's ability to use that protein. Beans hit all three. They provide the amino acids you need, they're delivered in a way your body can actually absorb after 60, and they're supported by fiber and nutrients that enhance protein use. In fact, some studies show that older adults who eat plant-based proteins like beans actually have more lean body mass than those who rely on meat. Why? Because the body is able to use the plant protein more effectively without the burden of inflammation and digestive stress that comes with animal protein. And let's not forget hormones. Hormones play a massive role in how our bodies age. Testosterone, estrogen, insulin, growth hormone, all of these decline with age. But certain foods can help keep your hormones balanced and working in your favor. Beans are one of those foods. The zinc in beans supports testosterone production, which is critical for muscle building in both men and women. The fiber in beans helps balance estrogen, reducing the risk of hormone-related cancers. And the improved insulin sensitivity from beans we talked about earlier ensures that your body remains in a muscle-building, fat-burning mode instead of storing everything as belly fat. In short, beans help create the hormonal environment you need to stay strong and lean after 60. I want you to picture this. Imagine two people, both 70 years old. The first person eats a traditional meat-heavy American diet, bacon and eggs for breakfast, burgers for lunch, steak or pork chops for dinner. They believe they're fueling their muscles, but in reality, they're dealing with high cholesterol, stiff arteries, inflammation, and kidneys under stress. They're losing muscle faster than they can replace it, and every year they feel weaker and more dependent. Now, picture the second person. They still enjoy food, but their meals are built around beans. Maybe oatmeal with a side of black beans in the morning, lentil soup or a chickpea salad at lunch, and a hearty bean chili for dinner. They're not missing out. They're enjoying flavorful, filling meals. But here's the difference. Their cholesterol is under control, their heart is strong, their muscles are responding to protein, and their energy levels are high. 10 years later, the first person is frail, struggling with chronic illness, maybe even in assisted living. The second person is still independent, still strong, still enjoying life. The only real difference, their food choices. This isn't theory, it's reality. I've seen it again and again with my clients across America. Seniors who embrace beans as their primary protein thrive in ways that surprise even their doctors. And remember, this isn't about becoming a vegetarian or vegan. You don't have to give up meat entirely if you don't want to. It's about shifting the balance, letting beans take center stage while meat becomes more of a side character. Now, let's get practical. How can you start incorporating beans into your daily life in a way that's simple, delicious, and sustainable? It's easier than you think. For breakfast, try adding beans to a vegetable omelette or making a savory bean and avocado toast. For lunch, a black bean taco or a lentil soup can be incredibly satisfying. For dinner, swap half the ground beef in your chili or spaghetti sauce with kidney beans or lentils. You'll double the nutrition, cut the cost, and keep all the flavor. Even snacks can include beans. Think roasted chickpeas, which are crunchy, tasty, and packed with protein. And here's something else that makes beans such a perfect food for seniors. They're easy to prepare in bulk. You can cook a big pot of beans on Sunday and use them in different meals throughout the week. Add them to salads, soups, wraps, or casseroles. They store well in the fridge and can even be frozen for later. That means less time cooking, less stress about what to eat, and more consistency in getting the nutrients your body needs. Consistency is key. Your muscles respond not to what you do once, but to what you do every day. Eating beans once a month won't change your life. Eating them daily will. It's that daily investment, that small choice repeated again and again, that adds up to big results over time. And because beans are so affordable and versatile, they make it easy to stay consistent without breaking the bank or getting bored. Let me also share this: beans are a food of community. Think about it. Throughout history, beans have been shared at the family table, at church potlucks, at neighborhood cookouts. They're not just food, they're connection. And that matters because one of the strongest predictors of longevity isn't just what you eat. It's the quality of your social connections. Sharing a hearty bean stew with friends or family nourishes not just your body but your spirit. It keeps you connected, supported, and engaged with life. And that, my friend, is just as important as protein when it comes to staying strong after 60. Now let's tackle one more myth. Some people worry that plant protein isn't complete. They've heard you have to eat certain foods together to make it work, but modern science shows that as long as you eat a variety of foods throughout the day, your body will combine the amino acids it needs. And beans, when paired with even a small amount of grains like rice, oats, or corn, create a protein that is every bit as complete, and in many ways superior, to meat. So there's no need to worry about missing anything. You're getting exactly what your muscles need without the baggage that comes with animal protein. I also want to highlight something that doesn't get talked about enough. Beans help regulate blood pressure. Hypertension is rampant among seniors, and it's one of the silent killers in America. Beans, with their potassium and magnesium, naturally relax your blood vessels, helping to bring blood pressure down. This reduces your risk of stroke, heart attack, and kidney damage. And unlike medications, beans don't come with a list of side effects, just side benefits. So, when you think about beans, I don't want you to think cheap filler or poor man's protein. I want you to think muscle fuel, heart protector, brain booster, and longevity food, because that's exactly what they are. They're not a downgrade from meat, they're an upgrade. And when you choose beans, you're choosing strength, independence, and vitality for the years ahead. And let me emphasize this point: it's never too late to start. I've worked with clients in their late 80s and early 90s who began incorporating beans into their diets for the first time. Within weeks, they noticed improvements in digestion, energy, and even mood. Within months, their doctors were lowering their medications because their cholesterol and blood pressure were under control. If they can see results at 90, imagine what you can do at 60, 65, or 70. Now that you've seen how powerful beans can be, let's talk about what this actually means for your future. Because this isn't just about food, it's about what kind of life you want to live after 60. Too many Americans believe that getting older automatically means losing strength, losing independence, and slowing down. They think weakness and frailty are just part of aging. But the truth is, weakness isn't inevitable, it's a choice. And one of the simplest, most powerful choices you can make is to fuel your body with the foods that support muscle, energy, and resilience. I've seen it with my own eyes. Seniors who embrace beans as their daily protein source aren't just surviving, they're thriving. They're traveling, they're volunteering, they're dancing, they're playing with their grandkids. They're proving that life after 60 can be strong, vibrant, and full of joy. And the best part, this isn't some expensive supplement, some risky drug, or some trendy diet. It's as simple as adding beans to your meals every day. Now let's get practical again. How much should you eat? The sweet spot for most adults over 60 is about 1 to 2 cups of beans per day. That might sound like a lot, but when you spread it out across meals, it's easy. Half a cup in the morning, maybe scrambled into an omelette or spread on toast. Another cup at lunch, perhaps in a hearty soup or salad. And half a cup at dinner mixed into chili pasta or a stew. By the end of the day, you've had plenty of protein, loads of fiber, and a whole arsenal of vitamins and minerals, all from one of the cheapest, most accessible foods in America. And don't forget variety. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, navy beans, lentils, chickpeas, each one has its own unique nutrient profile. Rotating them keeps your meals interesting and ensures you're getting a wide spectrum of benefits. Lentils, for example, cook quickly and are fantastic in soup. Chickpeas are perfect for salads and hummus. Black beans are delicious in tacos or burritos. Pinto beans make a creamy, comforting base for chili. Navy beans are perfect in casseroles or baked bean dishes. When you mix it up, you'll never get bored, and your body will thank you. Now, I want to address another concern some people have: protein timing. When you're younger, it doesn't matter as much when you eat protein. But after 60, it's more important to spread your protein intake throughout the day. That's because your muscles become less sensitive to protein signals, so you need to give them multiple opportunities to grow. Eating beans at every meal ensures a steady stream of amino acids, keeping your muscles fueled and primed for repair and growth all day long. So don't save all your beans for dinner. Make them part of breakfast and lunch, too. And here's something you may not know: beans actually help amplify the benefits of exercise. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. Even light resistance exercises, like bodyweight squats, light dumbbells, or resistance bands, can make a big difference when paired with the right nutrition. And when your body is fueled with bean protein, your muscles respond better. They grow stronger, faster, and recover more quickly. That means you'll see results from your efforts sooner, and you'll be motivated to keep moving. It's a beautiful cycle. Beans fuel your muscles, exercise strengthens them, and together they keep you active, independent, and vibrant. I remember working with a woman named Mary in Arizona. She was 72 and had never touched a dumbbell in her life. She told me she wanted to stay strong enough to keep up with her great-grandkids, but felt too weak to even get started. I encouraged her to begin with chair squats and light arm curls, just 5 minutes a day, and to start eating beans with every meal. Within a few months, she noticed her legs getting stronger, her balance improving, and her energy levels rising. She told me, "I thought my strong days were behind me, but I feel like I'm getting stronger every week." And she was, because beans gave her body the fuel it needed to respond to even small amounts of exercise. This is the future I want for you. Not just adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Feeling proud of your strength. Feeling confident in your independence. Feeling energized and capable every single day. And it all starts with the choices you make at the dinner table. So let's bring this home. You now know that beans are more than just a cheap food. They're a muscle-building, heart-protecting, brain-boosting superfood that works better than meat for Americans over 60. You know they deliver the protein your body can actually use, along with fiber, minerals, and antioxidants that meat can't match. You know they lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, protect your kidneys, strengthen your bones, regulate blood sugar, and even sharpen your memory. You know they're affordable, versatile, and delicious. And you know that adding them to your daily meals can change, not just your diet, but your entire future. So the only question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep walking past that bean aisle in the grocery store, thinking meat is the only way to build strength? Or will you take this simple, powerful step toward a stronger, healthier, more vibrant you? The choice is yours. I encourage you to take action this week. Pick one type of bean, maybe black beans, chickpeas, or lentils, and commit to eating at least 1 cup every day for the next 7 days. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice your energy, your digestion, your mood. I can almost guarantee that by the end of the week, you'll feel a difference. And once you feel that difference, you'll never look at beans the same way again. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. This channel is here to guide you, support you, and cheer you on every step of the way. Every video I create is designed to give you the tools you need to thrive after 60, whether that's through food, movement, mindset, or lifestyle. So if you found value in this message today, I want to invite you to come back for more. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join this growing community of strong, determined Americans who refuse to let age define their limits. Because here's the truth: you are not too old, and it is not too late. Your best days can still be ahead of you. Strength, energy, independence, and vitality are still within your reach. And it all starts with one small, affordable, humble food that's been in front of you this whole time: beans. So go ahead, make that bean chili, that lentil soup, that chickpea salad. Serve it with pride, knowing you're not just making a meal, you're building your future. And I promise you, if you stick with it, you'll be stronger after 60 than you ever thought possible. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take action. And I can't wait to see you back here for the next video, where we'll dive even deeper into the simple, powerful strategies that help you live strong, live proud, and live long. Until then, take care of yourself, enjoy your beans, and remember, you are stronger than you think.